UPS is now hiring part-time package handlers and seasonal driver helpers throughout Syracuse. Package handlers receive competitive pay, great benefits, and can also graduate debt-free with up to $25,000 in tuition assistance. Driver helpers also receive competitive pay and get picked up along their route every day. No license required. Apply now at jobs-ups.com/radio. That's jobs-ups.com/radio. A great job and excellent benefits are in one package, delivered by UPS. Get there at jobs-ups.com/radio.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Shadow Travels, and we still have no intro music, but we will get on that. Ray, how's it going? Ray, are you there? All right, let's try this and see if we can back him. Ray, are you there? All right, let's see. Looks like he's having some trouble calling in. So we are going to go ahead and get started then, and hopefully he'll be calling back in with us in just very shortly here. So tonight we actually have on two guests tonight. We're going to do, the first one is Tammy Rosenfeld from Salt City Paranormal here in Syracuse. She'll be joining us from 8 to 8:30, and then from 8:30 to 9, we have on actually my brother, Matt Cook, out of New Jersey. He runs Princeton Area Paranormal, so he'll be joining us for that half hour. Ray, are you on?
Yes, sir.
All right, let me go back and get him, and I apologize. Are you there now? I'm sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you now. All right, we're all set.
All right.
Little strange glitch that we've never had with Blog Talk before, but we have Tammy on hold, so I'm gonna go ahead and get her on. I don't want to waste any more of her time.
All right.
So we'll bring her on.
Tammy, our neighbor.
Yes, that's right,
Hi.
our neighbor.
Hello,
How you
Tammy.
doing?
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Tammy,
Thanks for being on.
Ray. Yep. Definitely.
Hello?
Yes, can you hear us?
Yep.
Okay, I just want to make sure. I don't know what's going on with us tonight. It's some strange connection problems. So yes, we've at least I've talked to you quite a bit over Facebook, and we've messaged back and forth about goings on around the city here. And this, like I had mentioned to you, this is going to be very much a free form type of interview, very non-structured. So my first question that I always like to ask people that have the team is, tell everybody how you got started.
Well, I saw my first apparition at age 5. I was playing out in my grandma's yard, and in a little town called South Onondaga. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it. Near Lafayette in the Onondaga Reservation.
Yep.
And near 13 Curves, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So you heard all the stories growing up of 13 Curves. You know, 13 Curves, the story goes back to when my mom was a child. So that town is very intense energy-wise, and I saw there's a boarded-up store, and all the windows were boarded up, and it was padlocked. The doors were padlocked. But I saw this apparition, a woman looking down at me. So
really?
It was across the street.
And you said you were 5 years old?
Yep.
Wow. And
I had paranormal acting. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, was that the only time you ever saw her?
I saw her a few times, or I felt her presence there. And I've had paranormal activity happen all my life growing up. I had a stream haunting when I was a teen. My family was homeless for a while, and I went to live with this other family who were into the dark arts. I believe they said they were witches, but I think they did more than witchcraft. And I used to see hooded figures, and I slept on their couch or cot in the living room, and these hooded figures used to bother me. So I'd surround my cot and, do things to me, and I got a lot of sleep paralysis and things like that. So it was definitely interesting. So I decided.
Yeah, I would think so.
Decided,
Tammy, is there anyone in your family who had the same types of experiences? I know that generally runs in the family.
Oh yeah, my whole family can feel, see them, or hear them. So, and
Okay.
growing up in I grew up in the Lafayette area, and we lived in old farmhouses, and we had a lot of activity in the houses that I lived in. So, and there was no one there to help me, so I decided, when ghost hunters came out tabs, I'm like, wow, there's actually people, because I was shunned a lot when I would talk about the things, and and then I'm like, people actually talk about the things I see? So I was like amazed. So then I decided. I joined a couple other teams.
We hear that from a lot of people, by the way. We hear that from a lot of our guests that we interview, how they had these experiences, but, really had them for a long time, but didn't talk about them at all. I guess a great example of that is, we've talked to and met Chris DeCesare, and you have as well. And Chris is a great example of that. Not just a long time, a really long time with him. So that's definitely a commonality with all the folks that we talk to on here.
Right.
When you join those other groups, and obviously I don't want you to mention them by name, but yeah.
Yes.
I know who you're talking about, but we're not going to mention them by name on here. But what made you dissatisfied with those other groups? And again, not without getting specific about people or
certainly.
Yeah.
Well, the first team I joined is a Syracuse team, and it was a boys' club, and they didn't want to hear anything I had to say, and I've experienced this stuff all my life, and they used to be like, oh no, you don't know what you're talking about. So I left them. And then I was case manager for another team in Auburn for a very long time, for like a year. And then there were some issues with them. They wanted, their 15 minutes of fame on TV. That's basically what they wanted to do. And I wasn't for that, so I decided to leave and get my own team.
Okay. And now how many people are on your current team now?
I have 3 women. It's all women.
3 women. Okay. We've also, I'm going to say ironically, but it's not really ironic. Our very first episode of this show, we interviewed the girls from the Saratoga team. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they have an all-female team as well. I've kind of found that that's very, that's actually fairly common. At least from what I've seen. I've seen a number of female teams out there, but not in our area. There seem to be a lot of the ones from other states, whether it be on Facebook or on Instagram or wherever it might be. So that's you are probably the only all-female team, well, at least in this area, in all of Central New York, I would think, at least that I've heard of, unless you know of any others.
No, I do not know of any others.
Yeah. Now, you are also a medium, correct?
Yes.
And Ray is our medium on our team, so when did that come about? When did you realize you had that ability?
Well, I've always seen things all my life, like from shadow figures. I have experiences with like black clouds, and just like a lot of shadow figures like are always around me growing up, like at the foot of my bed, in my doorways, walking the hallway, and every house I lived in had activity. It doesn't matter where I went or where, and I didn't know what it was. I just called myself a sensitive because I picked up just every place. I could go into a person's home and tell them if it was haunted or not. And sometimes I scared the shit out of them, but...
Right. That's, yeah, I can imagine.
So, I just referred to myself as, you know, in my 20s and 30s, like, I was shutting it out a lot, but the things just kept coming and coming, and so it was a lot of self-discovery in my early 30s about what I was, and I talked to several mediums, and it wasn't until I got into the paranormal that I befriended some psychics, and they told me what I was, and so, and they made, you know, did questions, you know, well, can you, and they're like, well, you're this, and I'm like, wow, do you have experiences with this? And I'm like, yes, and they're like, yeah, but you're a medium, so.
Right. And some of that, Ray, sounds somewhat similar to the way that you kind of discovered it, for lack of a better word, in yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think it's that uncommon for those of us who didn't necessarily grow up in a place where it was embraced. I know, you know, Tammy, you said others in your family have had their experiences, and the same for me, but nobody, like, people refused to talk about it. And I found, you know, growing up, it was the same thing for me. I had a number of experiences, just nobody would necessarily validate it. And it wasn't until I was a teenager when my mother and I had experience together. And then continuously since then, you know, over 15 years later, still learning and you know, I guess it's from others that I've spoken with, it's constant learning experience.
It is. I'm always discovering something new. So, yeah, I agree. You know, and I didn't really, my mom can, you know, knows what's going to happen in the family, and that was always a thing with her. She was like, oh, well, I just know what's going to happen, so on. So we didn't think it was a big deal. She called it women's intuition or something. It wasn't until, you know, my sisters and I started talking about our experiences that we kind of, like, noticed that we were a little different from everybody else.
Now, you just did a big event at the Landmark, so I definitely want to talk about that, about how and what you thought about. And I know we've talked a little bit about this before, but for people that are listening, I think this would be a good point to discuss how crowds can be on public investigations. Let's put it that way. So how were your crowds on your investigation?
My crowds were pretty good for the most part. They were pretty good for the most part. Psychic Maggie Hart did it, and I helped her out, and the Landmark has lots of energy, so, you know, public investigations, you know, sometimes you get the skeptics, and they can be very cynical sometimes, so, yes. Or you get the other ones.
Yeah, for sure. And that's, you know, we discussed, I discussed the other day with Tammy, we kind of did a little comparison of our investigation at the OHA and her investigation at the Landmark and our crowds that we got there. And, you know, very similar, I think.
Okay.
You know, for the most part, good, you know, good people. A few skeptics and a few people I would say went beyond being a skeptic into a point of, you know, they're just to prove a point kind of thing. But definitely worth it. And I said to Tammy, I'd love to get into the Landmark at some point. That would be a great place to go and investigate.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's one of the most beautiful buildings, you know, the interior especially. I know I've been there a number of times for a variety of shows, but never to conduct an official investigation. It's definitely a must for anybody.
Right.
Now, Tammy, I was just going to ask you what your favorite place is that you've investigated, with either with this team or your other teams that you've been on?
Penhurst.
Oh, okay. Someplace we have not been. We've been invited several times, but we've never been able to get down.
You should go. It's intense.
We should
really
go.
Intense.
Is it now?
It's amazing.
See, this always brings up my question now that I try to avoid. And since you've been there, I guess you can answer it. We've investigated Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia, and it was absolutely fantastic place to go. Just wonderful.
Yeah.
We didn't get much evidence. We got a few things that are possibilities, but that's probably the strongest that we got. And it makes me wonder if a place can be over-investigated.
Yeah,
and I know that
Yeah.
Penhurst gets people year-round, especially over the summer months. So what do you think about that? I mean, is it possible that you could have a place that gets so much activity? Or Rolling Hills is another great example. Can it be over-investigated?
It can, but, I have been to places that have activity and been to other places when it doesn't have activity. But Penhurst, honestly, the one that has the most activity, incredible activity, that every time I go, I get something, is Palmyra.
I cannot believe you said that, because that is exactly what I say all the time. And I think, Ray, you would probably agree. I know Ken would agree. I was just saying that to somebody today, too, at work. They asked what our most haunted places we go, and I said it's Palmyra. Every time we go there, we get something. That's so funny. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Tammy. I just can't believe that.
Now, do you get on? We have got on recorder with my old team, someone saying, "Get the F out."
Yes, as a matter of fact. Oh my
God.
We got it in a
male's voice.
Yes. Oh my God. I wish Ken was listening right now. We were in the basement.
We got it on recorder.
We got it in the basement of the museum. We were down there, and we got it through the spirit box. We got it 3 times in a row through the spirit box.
Okay.
Clear.
I got it in the apartment at Philip's store. Yep.
That's so weird. Kind of gave me chills on that one. Just we had I think we had a group of 5 or 6 people there that night, and people that had never been on an investigation, and they heard it. I mean, it was unanimous. Everybody agreed. We all heard it come through. Wow, that's crazy that you say that.
He was not very welcoming. He definitely wanted us out. It was definitely more of an intimidation as well.
Right. It was what happened when my team went. They saw a mist form. They were sitting at the table, and I was in the living room with Bonnie because we were watching the ghost cat weave in and out of the piano.
I have it.
Kevin's also experienced the ghost cat.
I have experienced the ghost cat several times there.
Yeah. So my team saw a mist form right near them, and then they got on recorder, "Get the F out." Wow. Now, last time I was there, I was with Sean Patrick Sarabak out of Buffalo. He's a psychic, and Ashley O'Brien out of Buffalo. And she's a psychic, too. And I was walking up the floating stairs, and I had my cell phone in my pocket. And just prior to that, I was using it as a flashlight, and I was talking to Sean in the kitchen above the Phillips store. And I put it in my pocket. Well, it fell out of my pocket, and it fell and broke apart. But the back of my phone was 2 rooms away between my girlfriend's legs. My friend was there investigating with me, and it fell between, and it took Sean and I about a half an hour to look for it. We couldn't find the back of my cell phone.
Wow.
And we don't know how we got 2 rooms away between my girlfriend's legs.
And it doesn't surprise me there. I mean, that's just the kind of stuff that we've had go on. It's amazing. I mean, we've had clear as can be on a recorder, a heavy boot steps walking, and then a little kid running, and then heavy boot steps walking again over in the store. When nobody was in there, when we left the recorder in there, nobody went over. It's amazing. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that you said that, but at the same time, I am surprised. I mean, that's definitely, it would be my number one place I would pick if somebody asked me that same question.
Right.
I think a close second for us, and this is, unfortunately, I think people have to take our word on this, Ray, because as far as we know, no one else has been there, is Lemoyne Manor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We got some
I
stuff.
Can see that.
Yeah, we got some stuff in Lemoyne Manor. Again, a lot of it through the spirit box that were intelligent responses to our questions, that verified information, and there's even, a very in the motel part, there's a bit of a dark presence over there.
Well, do they have the drug rehab people over there now still?
No, everybody's gone. It's totally empty.
I can see
totally
where that
empty.
is a dark presence because of the drug rehab people.
Also, the building where the owner's son got killed back in the early 70s. He was shot and killed in that building. We actually got him to come through the spirit box just a little bit, but verified some questions for us. Unfortunately, the place it's a disaster on the inside, to the point where we had to wear like painter's masks, to be able to breathe in there. Yeah, it's a total mess, but it was pretty interesting, and it was pretty intense at some parts for sure.
Yeah, I think that's the only place we've investigated where I physically became sick with the negativity in there, just with the. What's interesting, I wasn't even the only one. It was actually affecting a couple other members of the team, but I think I had to leave. I can't remember if I left early that night, but I became physically ill. And,
I think you did.
Yeah, and we also, I kind of pinpointed an area where I believe the former owner's son was murdered, and another psychic we used to work with went to that exact same spot. So I think that has something to do with it, but without a doubt, the negativity surrounding, some of the others, just everyone who's lived there over the years, definitely would impact that.
Wow. The place where I got physically sick was 1890 House.
That's our very first, the one that Ray just mentioned, our very first psychic that we used to work with. That was our second or third investigation, and she was with us on that one, and she got sick there as well.
I had to walk out and ground and walk back in because as soon as I walked through the door, I got physically sick. And the thing is, I had a dream about the owner, the guy who owned it, that still supposedly haunts that place. I had a dream the night before. I didn't know what he looked like, and I went in there and I described the guy to the board, because the board runs it. And they're like, that's the guy. That's what you call it.
Yeah, it's our psychic found some, according to her anyway, found some pretty disturbing stuff about him. And some things that actually I should clarify, not the original owner, but I think it was his son or whoever owned it. Turn of the century up until around 1930, 40, somewhere in there. It was some pretty disturbing stuff about him.
Well, I will text you and tell you what I picked up there.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember very.
Public. Yeah.
No, that's okay, because I don't want to say any more either. That's about all I can probably say. But actually, I don't even want to now because I want to see what you have to say first before I tell you what they.
Before I left, I saw him standing on the porch watching me leave. As I was leaving to my car, because I parked across the street, because parking is not so great there, and I was parked across the street, and I saw him standing looking at me as I walked to my car.
Yep. Now, is this
on the porch?
You'll know what I'm talking about when I say this. Is this the same person that's in the big oil painting at the top of the stairs?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. So, all right. So I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page with the same person.
Yes.
Okay.
I've not been there yet, so now I'm a little more intrigued to get over there.
It's an absolutely gorgeous house. Absolutely gorgeous place.
It's beautiful. It's amazing.
It is. Yep. It's but there's definitely a lot going on there. And we've tried to get back in there several times, but I never get a response anymore. So I'd love to get back down there and go in.
Yeah.
For sure. And they say that the building actually. Yeah, definitely. And they say the building to the left of it, which now is kind of some kind of a dorm, is actually just as haunted, if not more haunted than that building is. I don't know if we can get into that one yet because it's housing, but yeah, that's what I heard from the girl that allowed us to come down and go on the tour. So yeah, it's definitely a place I want to get back into. And we'll have to bring you you and your team over to the mansion sometime, over to Barnes, and we can go do that one because we're kind of regulars there, and Ray's friends with all the all the former owners.
That's right. Inhabitants.
Oh, yes, inhabitants. I was trying to think of the right word. There we go. And of course, our new place at the OHA, we did have a really good time there last weekend.
Good.
And so yeah, it sounds like fun, and we'll definitely have to get the teams together whenever we get some free time. I know now that October's done, things will start to quiet down a little bit. So hopefully some places will be more available, I guess you could say, to get into. Do you guys have anything coming up soon?
No, I'm just, winter, it's kind of slow.
Yeah.
And you don't know where, you don't know if you're going to run into a snowstorm, and if you go 2 hours away,
Yeah. Now, let me real quick, because we're coming down to our last couple minutes here. Do you guys also do private residences?
Yes.
Have you had to do a lot? Have you done a lot this year?
Well, I have a questionnaire, and a lot of them I weed out because
I know.
Mental health issues.
Right.
And
the laugh says it all.
So I've weeded a couple out because of mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Recently that contacted me.
Oh, okay. We've probably like any team, we've fallen trapped to a couple of them because sometimes you just don't know until you get there, and other ones are, like you said, pretty easy to pick out, especially if they repeat back to you what was on Ghost Hunters the night before.
Right. So I'm hoping to get to Rolling Hills again. Some people that never investigated want to go to there, so I'm hoping to get back and see Sharon and things like that. So.
Yeah, and that's something we would definitely be interested too, and we can talk more about that, via messaging each other. But I know that Ray had mentioned going out there, and maybe at some point getting together, maybe we could meet you guys out there. So that would be very cool. Absolutely. All right. Well, I know you got other shows you got to do tonight, so I don't want to keep you. But thanks for calling in, and
thank you.
I'll be talking to you very soon.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Tammy, have a good night.
Tammy.
Bye.
Bye. All right, Ray. So we got another local team we can partner with, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's always good to find people who have also been around and maybe can recommend places that we have yet to investigate.
Yeah, definitely. And it's kind of nice, too, to have people that have gone to the same places that we've been. Maybe they can verify some of our stuff. And it sounds like, at least in Palmyra and possibly the 1890 house, some of our stuff that we picked up on can be verified. So that's very cool in that sense.
So cool when that happens.
All right, we are going to switch over to my brother Matt, who is now founder of the Team Princeton Area Paranormal, a switch from what they used to be, but he's going to talk to us a little bit about that. So he has called in, and Ray, you finally get to talk to him.
That's right.
All right. Hello.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. How you doing?
Hello, welcome. It's good to hear you
Ray.
now. I know we've communicated via other modes, but we have not talked yet.
Not officially. Our first official meeting.
That's right.
So
we have both the Cook brothers here. I'm interested to hear from both of you. I think it's great. I think it's so cool that you guys both got into the paranormal field here. So I'm definitely going to be asking, about your younger years, and if you've ever, I guess I'm asking right now, but Kevin, I don't know if you wanna jump in first and share a little bit, or Matt.
Oh, I don't even know how we started.
I mean, I think
I'm
it
trying
was
to
just,
think
we both had some previous experiences when we were a bit younger, and then I guess we just, I don't know what started us talking about it. We started talking about some of the shows we had been watching, some of the experiences that we've had, and we just said, man, what the hell? Let's see if we can just do some investigations of our own. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Actually, tell everybody about tell them about painting Steve's uncle's house.
Oh, sure, yeah. I kind of got my first real experience. I kind of got duped into. I have a friend. We used to do some painting on the side, make a little bit of extra cash. And his uncle was in this really, really old house. He was going to get ready to sell, and he wanted us to come in, spruce it up, make it look kind of nice, so we could sell it. When we got in there, he was giving us a tour, showing us all the rooms that needed to be painted and whatnot. And so we go into this little back powder room, and his uncle, he leans in. He says, "Oh, okay, the doll's in here tonight." So I didn't really know what was going on. I said, well, what do you mean the doll's in here tonight? He said, there's this little porcelain doll that's, on a stand over in the corner. Sometimes it's in this room. Sometimes it's in, one of the bedrooms. Sometimes it's just gone altogether. And I was like, all right, does anybody want to fill me in with what's going on with this house here now? And so, yeah, we had, they revealed that it was definitely haunted what they thought was two spirits, an old lady and an old man. They both had died in the house. Both have had their viewings or their wakes in the house. And we just had all kinds of just real interesting experiences in there. I was painting one of the rooms by myself, and the usual, everyone's familiar with the paint smell that fills the room, and then just out of nowhere, complete nowhere, the entire room filled with the smell of floral, like roses and stuff like that. And other people had confirmed that had been in that house that was the perfume that the old lady used to like to wear. It was that scent. We had paint cans go flying down the steps for absolutely no reason. What else? Cabinets would slam. We heard some voices while we were in there. Just a real creepy house. And I mean, it would fill up a whole other show if I could tell you all the stories that we experienced, and his uncle that lived there experienced, just all night long. And people walking up in the attic and just crazy stuff. And the doll would be in a different room every time when you went there. Yeah, right? And we were painting the room with it that it was in, and I didn't want to have anything to happen to it. So we were getting all our equipment ready to paint that room, and I looked at it, and it was just standing there, arms down at the side. We left the room, we came back in, the one arm was up in the air. And so I said, all right, let's just paint this room as fast as we can. I don't want to have anything happen to the doll. Let's cover it up. So we covered it up with a few paper towels, and while we were painting, the paper towels went flying off the doll, and I started to get interested in this point, so I started checking to see, is there any air vent, is there any open window with a draft, anything like that, and there was no explanation for it. So It was a very interesting house. We've never followed up with the next owners, but we always talk about that we want to just go check and see if they've experienced anything. But just a lot of goings on, and that was my initial, pretty much being thrown into the whole type of paranormal world. I would say.
Yeah, it sounds like quite the initiation there.
Yeah, especially
stuff
what I was getting thrown into. Here I am, just thinking I'm going to go paint a house, make a little bit extra cash. But I'm glad it happened. So, it kind of led to my interest and led to what we're doing today.
Yeah, absolutely. As Kevin knows, I always say there's a reason for everything.
Yeah, I believe that, definitely.
No such thing as coincidences.
That's right.
So other than that, we started in February 2015. I got to go ahead to investigate Town Shop, Camillus, and it was me and Matt and Ken and a former student of mine who's a friend now, Andy Withrow, and we kind of just did it, just because we could and for something to do and to try everything out. But I know we kind of got hooked after that, and Matt went back to Philadelphia where he was living at the time, and he started Old City Paranormal, and then there was major copyright violations and infringements, and he got...
Mine was old without an E. Theirs was old with an E, but it turns out the guy who runs that is a cop, and he was not too thrilled and was not too nice about it. So now we're Princeton Area Paranormal, because now we're in New Jersey. Figured I didn't want to mess with the cops. So.
Their legal team is...
Yeah, I would say those... Yeah, the living people are the ones we really have to worry about, unfortunately.
Yeah, they're the ones that bother me the most. Yeah, so we moved back to Jersey, my wife and I, and so I figured what good time as any to name change and add a couple new members to the team and see where it goes from there. So we're in a new area, new things to check out.
Great. So how many members of your team now?
There's me and two others. Just recently added Rob, a really good guy. Is just actually took him on his first investigation, but has had a lifelong fascination with everything and is really knowledgeable on all the topics. Just never had an outlet to go do any investigations or anything until I actually worked with him. So we just happened to start chatting about it. And I was like, why don't you come along? I host an event at a mansion around here, Cruiser Mansion, every Halloween. So why don't you come through, do the investigation with me, if you want, do the event with me, and see if you like it. And if you do, you're more than welcome to join the team. And he loved it. Had a great time. Can't wait to do more.
Very cool.
So, I know you might have to ask the questions, right? Because I know most of what
I know you wanted me to speak a little bit about the Cruiser Mansion and the experience.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you to talk about that a little bit. I mean, now I've been there too, but that's also the same place where Ray had the very cool remote reading. Yeah.
I think it's a good topic because the three of us are all kind of tied into it together. Kev, you came on investigation, and Ray actually was nice enough to do a remote reading the first time we went to investigate. Just a little background on it. The mansion was built in 1892. It's right here, right outside Trenton, New Jersey. Beautiful mansion. It was originally on just hundreds of acres of land. It was a family that was from New York City, and this was actually just their summer home. They would just come here in the summer, and it has 32 rooms in it. And for that to be, at that time, that to be just your summer home is pretty incredible. But just a great family who basically helped found the area essentially and really bring it to prominence. They were rooted in 20th Century Fox. They used to have screenings in the house with their parties for all newly released movies. Just a really, really fascinating house, and it's just gorgeous too. So every year they do Christmas tours, and I said, but it's just a beautiful house. Let me get in there. Let me just see what it looks like on the inside. And it was funny. We were finishing up the tour, and we walked by the steps that lead up to the third floor, which is off limits typically. And as soon as I got to the bottom of those steps, I got just the strangest feeling. I got goosebumps. for no reason. I had no reason to believe anything was going on in this house, and I said to my wife, I said, I have to figure out how to get into this house and investigate this house. I said, I need to get up. I need to go up those steps and see what's going on. I got the weirdest feeling. I just reached out to the folks in the township, and they were more than happy. They cut a deal with me. They said, if you'll do a Halloween event, you're more than welcome to investigate the house. And that's when Kevin and Ken came down to do the investigation. Got some pretty cool stuff. It actually led me to look into the house a little further, some of the names that we were getting through there. And actually I found it very interesting. We were doing a spirit box session up in the attic when I was doing one of the events, and funny enough, the name Raymond came through. And I was kind of torn. I was like, I'm not sure if they're maybe talking about you, Ray, or, or there was an individual that lived in the house. His name was Raymond. But maybe to take a step back there, the remote reading that Ray was able to do for us, he came through right as we were getting there. I believe he texted you, right, Kev? He came through with a cork board or cork wall. Santa.
Literally 5 minutes, not even before we walked into the house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was, and I can vouch for you, Ray. I've never been to the area. No reason to know anything really about the house or anything, and
right.
We kept those two things in mind. Yeah, exactly. We kept those two things in the back of our minds as we were walking through and doing our investigation, and we eventually got up to that third floor. The place that I was, itching to get into, and we walked up the steps and we turned, and there was an entire wall that was full. It was just a corkboard wall, essentially, just the full-on wall, and right around the corner from that was a statue of Santa. So we were kind of flipping. I couldn't wait to tell Ray about it. I mean, that's pretty cool. Those are two really random things, and we eventually, we were continuing our investigation. We left a recorder up on the third floor the whole night and didn't go back up there. And when we listened back, we got some pretty cool things. We had a couple instances where there was some children's voices, pretty distinct. I mean, you can basically make out what they're saying. They're saying no, stop, almost like someone was being teased or something like that, along those lines. And I checked it out with the volunteers, the historians that are there, and they said that would make sense. The third floor up there was the children's playroom / schoolroom where they used to spend a lot of their time. So that was really validating on many levels. Actually, validating some of the stuff that Ray came up with, maybe a reason why we needed to get up to that third floor where the corkboard and Santa were, so we can get some of that evidence. So we thought that was pretty interesting.
So where are you?
That's still one of my. Go ahead, Kevin.
Go ahead, Ray. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's still one of my favorite stories to tell because it was so random. Even for me, I was actually the reason I couldn't go there is because my family and I were going to Salem, Massachusetts, and I think when I text you, text Kevin, I had just gotten into Salem Village, and it's not something I sat down and really meditated and, tried doing this remote reading. It's something that was on my mind. And, Kevin said, see what you get. And, that's what I got. And I was just as excited. And I tell people all the time, just having that validation. And this was so random. Like, I remember telling Kevin, I don't know what the hell this means, but here you go.
Yeah. And it's, I was talking to the volunteers too. Go ahead.
I was going to say, try walking around the corner and seeing it.
Yeah, we about died. And I was talking to the volunteers. I said, just out of curiosity, I said, is there any other cork boards in this whole house? I said, maybe in your office downstairs. They said, no, this is the only one, and why it's up here, I have absolutely no idea.
Wow.
That's pretty funny. Pretty funny. So we have the event every Halloween there. It's actually getting bigger and bigger every year. We got to expand it next year, but there was such a high demand. They only allowed 50 people in, and there were 60 people on a waiting list. So we have to figure out how to expand it. It's nice that we do about 10 tours there every event, and usually something will come through it for everyone. And there's a lot of participation. We do a lot of spirit box sessions. A lot of the people that are there will ask their own questions, and they just love it when they can get a response. And we almost always do. The two individuals, the mother and the father that used to live there, they constantly come through. They'll validate their name almost on every single tour they come through, and people just love it. And there's a lot of activity there. Kevin and I both were. We had a couple of personal experiences. We were both touched. Kev on the back of the neck, and I had something pressing on my leg. And the investigation that we did, the new guy that came with us, Rob, he kind of got thrown into the fire there. Something in the attic grabbed his arm, and I thought I was going to lose him. But he hung in there, and during one of the events, one of the volunteers, we just heard her yell and jump, and something grabbed her arm too. So it's pretty common there. It's an active place. It's a lot of fun to go.
And you can, as a side note, and I just thought of this because I was trying to remember where you've been up here with us, but you've been to the Barnes Mansion with us, but you were also in Palmyra with us.
Yeah.
And you were there when the crazy ghost cat was rubbing its tail on my arm. That's right. We were just talking to our other guest about that. I don't know if you're listening in, but our first guest was she's the head of a local group around here, and I always ask everybody, what place have you gotten your best evidence or your most evidence? And she said Palmyra, and that's what I always say too, because that's always where we get our best stuff. And I just remembered that you were there when that happened. And Ray, I don't think you were with us that night. No, that's right, you weren't with us that night.
No, I was there the first time. The first time
that's right.
The cat ran by you.
Yes, yeah, because you're in the picture behind me of me jumping backwards. So. But,
it was a little quiet that night there that I was with you, but except for with the exception of that was going on with the cat rubbing up against you.
Yep, and the K2 meter jumping constantly.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You're very lucky. You have a lot of really cool places around you to investigate, or at least around Philadelphia, anyway.
Yeah, there is. There's goes without saying, the history of Philadelphia lends to a lot of cool places to check out. They're not always the easiest places to get into, but if you're persistent, you can really push. You can get into some of these places. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you've talked about on your show. I think I've heard you talk about on your show the biggie in Philadelphia is Eastern State Penitentiary that we were lucky enough to get into. There's a great place called the Powell House, really difficult to get into. I've been working on it for a couple of years now, probably one of my first places I've started trying to get into. It's the ghost of I say, but the apparition of Benedict Arnold is known to walk around there. Marquis de Sade has also been known to walk around there, and people have seen it. Have had a lot of experiences there. I've been trying to get in there. That's a toughie, but also the one that we're hoping, and we hope you guys can come down to it and we can do something together, is over at Fort Mifflin. That's always a popular place.
Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about one, and I know that I was the only one on this with you because it's me and you and then your friend Mike, but Haldeman.
Oh yeah, Haldeman Mansion. Yeah, that's out a little bit closer to Lancaster. Just a real old place. I think it's 1700s, I believe, early 1700s. It was on a fur trader's route.
Ray has got to come down and go to that with us.
Yeah, that would be outstanding. There's a lot going on there. It's a real popular place to go and investigate. You name it, it's there. There's Indian cemeteries on the grounds. It was on a fur trader's route where there's people being murdered left and right. And I think probably the most interesting thing that happened to us there, the woman who was the caretaker there was giving us a tour of the house, and we were walking into one bedroom, and she said, "And this is Jacob's room," and Kevin, you can attest to this. It was very strange. There was just started this loud knocking all over the place. Yeah. To the point where you could feel it vibrating.
Every time she mentioned his name.
Yeah. Yeah, and she, she was saying hello to him, and there was just the knocking would just keep going and going and going, and it, we didn't have an explanation for it really. It was really, really interesting, and throughout the night we just kind of had that persistent feeling that there was something or someone just following us room to room. It was just all night long, and we would do some spirit box sessions, and I forget, we lost track of how many, but every time we would do one, we would get some form of get out.
No, there was about 10 to 13 get outs.
Yeah, and it to the point, we were supposed to stay there all night long until I think we were good till like 6 in the morning, and we got to like 13, 14, and finally the last one was a very distinct, and we have it recorded. It was get out. It was very distinct, two distinct words right after each other, and we said, all right, we're going to pack this one up.
I always have people ask me, and Ray, I'm sure you probably do too, and Matt, you probably do now too, but people always ask me, what's the scariest place I've been, or when have I ever been scared? And the only place I've ever, the exception of being extremely startled by the ghost cat, the only place I've ever really been scared was at Haldeman, and it was, I don't know what it was about the building, but I think it's a scary building. And
it is very scary. There's something not right about it.
Yeah. Quarters that we left alone in there, you hear doors opening and closing, latching and unlatching when we were in the building next door. And there's only 3 of us, and nobody else is around. And you hear somebody playing with the metal chairs, banging against each other. I mean, there's nobody in there. It was pretty crazy.
And we had that strange anomaly that we got, that shoots across the camera when we weren't in the building at all either. It was just a static video camera. We took the stills from it. Just a strange shape moves across the camera.
Yeah, it was definitely very, very weird. You got anything else, Ray, you want to ask?
I guess one of the questions we normally ask our guests, Matt, what's your kind of dream location you'd like to investigate?
I know it's a popular one. It's almost a little cliche, but I would love to get out to Alcatraz.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, the other one that's on my list is Eastern State Penitentiary, but we've already done that. But I guess I could say I want to get back there and do it again.
Yeah,
and I actually have not been to Eastern State, so I'm all about that. And Alcatraz, that's definitely on my bucket list to get out there.
Yep, and I mean, obviously, I'd love to, and it's not attainable, but I'd love to camp out on the battlefield at Gettysburg, spend the night on the battlefield. That would be amazing. That would be really cool, and I'd really like to get out to Fort Mifflin. I know that's just as a fan of history, all these places. I always tell everyone. I said, they asked why why you do this, and I said, it's almost 50-50. Half of me loves the paranormal side of it. The other half of me is how else am I going to be able to gain access and basically to have a place like the penitentiary to essentially myself, me and 4 other people, just to roam around at night by myself. Just looking at the history aspect of it, it's just awesome. It's really, really cool. It's a cool thing to get into if you're into the history aspect of things, and you can gain access to some really cool places.
Yeah, and that's what we tell everybody all the time. It's when I'm talking to Spirit. That's the message: is we're here to learn about your story and your history, and to share it. And that's, we stay very true to that statement. We're there just to learn just as much as we are to share.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you can gain almost a firsthand interaction with part of that history, I mean, that's the coolest thing. I think it's just awesome if you can just gain a little bit of experience, knowledge, and then interact with what was once a part of that history. It's just awesome.
And one of the things that started to happen, at least with Ray, is people that you've picked up on at the Barnes Mansion have now kind of shown up other places. Coming through to you at home or coming through to you over at the Historical Association last weekend. So they kind of stick with you in a way, right?
Yeah, definitely the spirits that are a little bit more, I guess, transient. They're they're not stuck in one place as a lot of people may think they are. And one spirit in particular, Abrams, has definitely joined me in a couple of different locations, not just at the mansion where we initially made contact.
And I think,
but I do think there's a connection.
Go ahead.
No, that's it. I do think there's a connection, between some of the locations that he kind of pops up in. The OHA being one of them, of course, and then the mansion. The mansion being very popular or known for having freedom seekers going through there. OHA, of course, displaying some of those items related to the Underground Railroad. And even my house now, from the late 1700s, I'm still learning, but I really feel like there's I haven't told anyone, or Kevin knows. We found a hidden room on our property, and I don't know for sure that it's part of the Underground Railroad, but I think it is, and we're still learning.
Yeah, we are almost out of time already, so we're down to about 3 minutes here. So, Matt, do you want to? And I forgot to do this with Tammy earlier, but do you want to throw out? Can you do a plug for yourself real quick before we have to sign off for the team?
Yeah. Just got the standard Facebook page. It's Princeton Area Paranormal. We got some cool stuff up there. I have links to the YouTube presentation videos that I do at the Kuzer Mansion. It's got some evidence that we've gotten from the investigations there, and some other stuff from the Haldeman Mansion, from Eastern State Penitentiary. So definitely swing by. You can check out that video, kind of see what we've been talking about a little bit tonight.
And you do residential cases also if people want to get a hold of you for that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've done a couple. Ray actually did a remote reading for a private residence that we did. Was able to validate some pretty cool stuff.
All right.
Awesome. That's right. Well, thank you for another one of my favorite stories to share.
Yeah,
that's right.
The yellow room.
Yes.
Well, we'll have to save that one for next time.
Yes.
So, all right. Well, thanks for calling in, and we will be talking to you soon, and hopefully we'll be able to get down there soon and investigate with you guys.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, Ray. Nice to finally talk to you.
Yeah, and, absolutely. Hope to get together soon.
Yeah, I'll keep you posted on what we got going down here. Hopefully you guys can take a little road trip.
All right. Sounds good. Have a good night.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, Ray. So we got about a minute and a half left, but that was it's been a while since we've had a double guest on. I think since I've had Dominic from Naples Hotel and Bonnie from Palmyra on that night. So it's interesting, I think, when we can do that and compare different stories from different parts of the country and different experiences people have had. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's so great to find out that, as we said earlier, that we actually have a lot of the same experiences in the same locations. I think that helps validate what we find.
Yeah, definitely. That always makes me feel better, for sure, without a doubt.
And it's not something that we're seeing on TV and just repeating,
Right, exactly. Absolutely. There's no better way to get validation than from other people. So, all right, we will be back next week, and we don't know who will be on yet. We got a couple people in the works, but tune in next week at our same time, and we look forward to speaking with our guest. Ray, have a good night, and I'll be talking to you soon.
All right, good night, everyone.
When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can be confusing. Like Swedish techno confusing.
Bark, bark, meow, meow. Dance with me, purple cow. Bark, bark, meow, meow. Ooh, you lovely cow.
Geico makes it easy. With 24/7 access, all you have to do is go to geico.com and you could save money on car insurance. It just makes sense. Unlike,
Dance with me, purple cow. I like your moves.
UPS is now hiring part-time package handlers and seasonal driver helpers throughout Syracuse. Package handlers receive competitive pay, great benefits, and can also graduate debt-free with up to $25,000 in tuition assistance. Driver helpers also receive competitive pay and get picked up along their route every day. No license required. Apply now at jobs-ups.com/radio. That's jobs-ups.com/radio. A great job and excellent benefits are in one package, delivered by UPS. Get there at jobs-ups.com/radio.